I was ready to go to war with the finance department over a $300 plane ticket. Rules are rules, not a cent over budget, the finance manager said, her tone dripping with superiority. Then our company lost an $85 million contract. During the debrief, the CEO's fury was nearly palpable. Can someone explain this disaster? I stood, locking eyes with the room, and spoke steadily. It happened because I couldn't cover the plane ticket to deliver the proposal. The conference room was suffocating. The polished mahogany table reflected every strained, anxious face. CIO Mark Harrison's roar still lingered like smoke in the air. $8.5 million. He slammed the file onto the table. The impact rattled everyone. 6 months of work, wasted right at the finish line. Who will explain this? Silence. The executives were frozen, staring at nothing as though turned to stone. I sat at the far end of the table, in a corner almost always ignored. My supervisor, sales director John Miller, glared at me with a mixture of panic and silent pleading. Stick to the plan, his eyes said. Earlier, in the break room, Ian had cornered me not asking, but commanding. Amber, you take the fall. Say you forgot to send the proposal. Worst case, a reprimand. Lose your bonus. The company won't fire you. Young people make mistakes. It's attitude that matters. I had stared at him, saying nothing. Now his gaze begged me again. My stomach knotted. This was my choice: continue being the scapegoat, or turn the tables. Is no one going to speak? Harrison's voice cut through the silence like ice. John, you lead this project. Explain. John jumped to his feet, sweat beading on his forehead. Sir, responsibility lies with me. I failed to oversee properly. Then, with careful precision, he pointed at me. Suddenly, all eyes turned to me, a storm of scrutiny, contempt, and cold amusement. I was the eye of it. Amber, explain what happened, John said, his fake sympathy dripping. I rose, straightened my back, and adjusted my glasses, hiding my emotions behind the lenses. Mr. Harrison, I said calmly, it happened because I couldn't afford the plane ticket. Silence followed, gasps, murmurs. John's face turned red, then purple. He hadn't expected the quiet, obedient Amber Lynn to speak up. Susan Hayes, a finance manager, went from shock to crimson fury. What nonsense. Amber Lynn, don't blame the finance department. Company policy is company policy. The ticket exceeded the budget. What did I do wrong? I asked coolly. I pulled my phone from my pocket and walked to the center of the table, displaying photos of expense reports, receipts, and unpaid reimbursements. I detailed every unpaid out-of-pocket expense over $600 fronted, ignored by her department. My gaze cut through her. Why would you expect me to cover another $300 when the company hasn't reimbursed me for months? The room froze. Harrison's eyes shifted from me to Susan and John. He looked at them as if they were already condemned. The meeting ended for everyone but me. John and Susan were held back as Harrison left. I was led to a smaller room by his assistant, addressed formally now as Miss Lynn. Alone, I stared at my reflection in the gray, dreary sky outside the window. Cold. I had won the first round. John burst in, furious. Amber, are you insane? Who told you to say that? I leaned back, amused. It wasn't we who agreed. It was you trying to make me the scapegoat. I never consented. Threat spilled from him. I responded with calm, deliberate precision, exposing the ways he had stolen my work, misrepresented my contributions, and compromised the proposal. John had no leverage. His anger was meaningless. For the first time, he saw that the quiet subordinate he exploited had strength he couldn't control. Amber Lynn, you just wait. He hissed, fleeing. I felt no triumph, only exhaustion. Fighting him was draining. The CI's assistant returned with a temporary suspension notice. I accepted it calmly, knowing the game wasn't over. The days that followed were harder than expected. My apartment felt small and dim. Rumors about me circulated online and in private company chats.